Dana White's Contender Series 2021 Week 6 full card prediction with 5 fights on the entire fight card. The main event, a 21-year-old from Israel with 7 wins and 0 losses, fighting Mike Mallet with only 1 loss to Hakeem Dawodu in a welterweight fight. Carlos Hernandez and Daniel Barez in the flyweight division. Joshua Weems and Fernie Garcia in the bantamweight division. Shantae Barnes and Joseph Holmes in the light heavyweight division. Patrick White and Genaro Valdez in the lightweight division right there. But a very, very good fight card. I assume, I'm gonna guess the main event's probably gonna be a finish. Joshua Weems, Fernie Garcia has a good shot. I definitely think Shantae Barnes and then Joseph Holmes is gonna be a finish, and I definitely think Patrick White and Genaro Valdez is gonna be a finish. So at least, in my opinion, we will see 3, maybe 4 finishes on this Dana White's Contender Series Week 6 fight card. But cannot wait for Tuesday, which is only 2 days away. So right now, let's get into the first fight of the night. This one in the UFC or Dana White's Contender Series lightweight division. Patrick White and Genaro Valdez in the lightweight division. Genaro Valdez with 9 wins and 0 losses. A heavy favorite on the betting odds right there. It's going to be a little bit less in terms of height. Not too sure about the reach, but a minus of 400 favorite. 9 wins and 0 losses. Very good wrestling. Every single one of the wins is either by a ground pound TKO or by a submission in the first or second round. I don't think he's even had one fight. I mean, that's the only one right there. Only one fight going to the third round, which is absolutely insane. His opponent, Patrick White, also has a lot of finishes and has never been to the third round. Every single win and loss has been a KO or TKO win or loss. So this fight's going to be a finish. No matter who wins right here, Patrick White or Genaro Valdez, I literally think there's no chance one of these guys is going to win the fight by decision. I mean, Genaro Valdez has really good wrestling and grappling, comes forward with heavy pressure in the striking, goes down for the double leg takedown or the clinch trip takedown right there. Patrick White just coming forward with combinations, just throwing until he lands on you and ends up knocking you out. That is pretty much what Patrick White does, and that is pretty much what Genaro Valdez does. So either way, whatever Genaro Valdez does, if he goes out there, tries to wrestle and grapple, he's either going to submit Patrick White by a rear naked, an arm triangle, or he's going to ground and pound the heck out of Patrick White and TKO him in the first or second round. So Patrick White needs to defend those takedowns, because if the fight stays on the feet, Patrick White, I do think, will knock out Genaro Valdez, because Patrick, I believe, is a little bit bigger, is a little bit taller, way more powerful, just the overall better striker. So if Patrick keeps the fight on the feet, he's going to knock out Genaro Valdez fairly easily, because every single one of those 9 wins is a knockout. But Genaro Valdez's wrestling and the grappling is just so good. Every single fight, there's always an opponent out there that has pretty good knockout power that fights Genaro Valdez, but every single time he's able to close that distance, land the takedown, and end up submitting them or ground upon TKO them. So I really don't think that Patrick White is going to be able to defend the takedowns. Eventually, Genaro Valdez will get the fight down and TKO him or submit him in the first or second round. A really good fight in the UFC or Dana White's Contender Series lightweight division right there. Shantae Barnes and Joseph Holmes in the light heavyweight division. A short notice fight on Dana White's Contender Series. Shantae Barnes originally was supposed to fight Cody Brundage, and if I'm being quite honest, Cody Brundage would have absolutely destroyed Shantae Barnes, but again, he did get signed to the UFC and fought Nick Maximov, and he himself got destroyed in the first and second round. But now it's going to be Shantae Barnes and Joseph Holmes. The one thing you really need to look at right here is, of course, the age of Shantae Barnes, the height differential of Shantae Barnes compared to Joseph Holmes, as well as the competition level for Shantae Barnes. I mean, every single one of those wins, 0-2, 1-13, 4-22, 0-7, 6-6, 15-91. Jay Ellis, very famous for losing a lot of fights, and then Eric Lozano right there is only lost to a 0-2 guy. So he's really not facing the best competition out there, but he does have some very solid striking. Likes to come forward and literally just bang, just throw everything he has and go for that finish. Left hook, overhand right hook, get your back to the cage and just start winging punches till he gets a knockout. If he's gonna win, it's gonna be by knockout against Joseph Holmes, but Joseph Holmes, being the much taller, much lengthier guy, I think can do very good at range right here, just keeping the fight at range, jab and a 1-2 and leg kicking, front kicking into the body on Shantae Barnes, keeping Shantae at bay, so he's not really putting on that pressure to land those really big shots. Every time Shantae Barnes is going to come in and close the distance. If I were Joseph Holmes, I would probably clinch up because if you allow him to put on the pressure without clinching up or without faking a takedown or something, he's going to feel comfortable the next time he pressures you, and most likely he's going to knock you out. So every single time Shantae Barnes goes out there and does a lot of pressure, comes forward on Joseph Holmes, Joseph needs to clinch up, land a few knees, attempt a takedown, and then exit the clinch. That's what he needs to do every time to really discourage Shantae Barnes from even considering going to close the distance on Joseph Holmes. Because that is the way Joseph Holmes is going to win, to just limit the amount of times or the availabilities for Shantae Barnes to even be able to close the distance on Joseph Holmes. But Joseph, in my opinion, is going to have the advantage every which way you think about it. In the grappling game, he's got a really good rear naked choke submission. He has gotten reversed a couple of times in his career, but I still think he's going to be a lot bigger and still have that wrestling and grappling advantage. In the clinch, he's got those devastating knees and elbows, so he's got the advantage there. And at range, he's got the height, he's got the reach. And even if Shantae closes the distance, again, clinch up and start wrestling and grappling. So either way, I do think Joseph Holmes is going to win the fight pretty much everywhere the fight goes. So I do think eventually Shantae Barnes is going to close the distance on Joseph Holmes, and Joseph is going to counter him with a jab and overhand right down the middle and knock out Shantae Barnes. I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks him out with knees in the clinch. Would not be surprised if Joseph Holmes takes him down and ground up on TKOs him. But the main thing I'm trying to say here is Joseph Holmes will win the fight by KO or TKO in the first or second round. Whether it's by ground up on TKO, whether it's in the clinch with the knees, or whether it's at range, I do think Joseph Holmes will win the fight by knockout. Really good fight in the light heavyweight division. Joshua Weems and Fernie Garcia in the Dana White Contender Series at bantamweight division. But Joshua Weems right here, very crazy striker. I mean, his last fight was on, I believe, Jorge Masvidal's little Game Bread Fighting Championship. It was a split decision, but he went crazy in that fight, going for flying knees, spinning kicks, elbows. He was just going for a lot of crazy strikes on Isaac Ruelas in that last fight right there. A lot of his wins are submission wins, and that is probably what he needs to do right here, because on the feet, the only way he's going to win the fight against a guy like Fernie Garcia, who's a very technical striker, who has some pretty good leg kicks, pretty good jabs, 1-2s, overhand rights. The way you're going to beat a guy as technical as Fernie Garcia is to not be technical. I mean, that's the main way. If you're just gonna go forward, try to jab 1-2, stay on the outside, laying your shots in and out, like Fernie Garcia will be doing, Joshua just needs to go crazy on the feet. Throw flying knees, throw spinning head kicks, throw head kicks, throw front kicks. Just throw anything crazy at Fernie Garcia to get him off that technical striking game and make Fernie Garcia make mistakes with how crazy Joshua Weems is gonna be going in the fight. That is the way you're gonna beat a guy like Fernie Garcia. And he also has a pretty good wrestling and grappling game. If you're going to act that crazy, throw a flying knee, go down, and then go for a double leg takedown or the clinch trip takedown as well. That is another avenue for Joshua Weems to win, because he does have some very solid wrestling and grappling. He is on a 7-fight win streak. Kimura, armbar submission, arm triangle, rear naked. He's got some really good wrestling and grappling, but the reason I am going to side with Fernie Garcia is because of his technical striking. I don't know if Joshua Weems is going to be able to keep up that craziness that he's been doing in his last couple of fights. I don't think he's going to be able to keep it up for 3 straight rounds. In the takedowns on Fernie Garcia, Fernie has shown some very solid takedown defense. I think he defends the takedowns on Joshua Weems. Joshua maybe does pretty decent in the first round, but once he tires out by going a little bit crazy on those flying knees and crazy striking techniques, eventually Fernie Garcia is just going to out-volume him, outpoint him in the striking game with his jabs, 1-2s, overhand rights. He just throws a lot more volume. He's a lot faster, and I do think he's going to have a little bit more power than Joshua Weems. So if he's not able to land the takedown, which I don't think he will, I am going to go Fernie Garcia by a decision right here. It's a very likely Fernie Garcia could get a knockout here, but when you got two guys like this, I do think they're going to put it all on the line, but I don't think we're going to see a finish here. I got Fernie Garcia keeping the fight on the feet, keeping it at range, jabbing a 1-2, and just outlanding Joshua Weems in terms of volume, in terms of speed, in terms of power, and overall winning the fight by unanimous decision right there. Really good fight in the bantamweight division. Daniel Perez and Carlos Hernandez in the flyweight division right there. But Daniel Perez has very good movement. He's 32 years old, same height. Not too sure about the reach right there, but the movement of Daniel Perez, let's give a round of applause. It is very solid. I mean, he has very good head movement. The last couple of fights I've seen from him inside of Combate in his last 2 fights, which were a year and a half ago, you know. But still, he showed amazing striking defense, going in and out very, very well. Left hook, and then overhand right. The leg kicks looked absolutely amazing in his last couple of fights. The takedown defense looked really good for Daniel Valdez as well. So, in this fight with Carlos Hernandez, Carlos needs to go out there, try to wrestle, try to grapple, close that distance, and take down Daniel Valdez for 3 straight rounds, and dominate him for a 30-27 decision, or mix in takedowns. Kind of use the takedowns to set up his striking opportunities, because in the striking game, I do believe Daniel Valdez is going to be the more powerful striker. I believe Carlos doesn't have any knockout wins on his record. He doesn't have nearly enough power to really key Daniel Valdez off of him that much, because Daniel's just going to keep on staying at range, coming in and out, over and over again, because of his movement. His movement is so good, he could just keep on going in and out, jabbing a 1-2 and attacking that lead leg of Carlos over and over again. So, Carlos really needs something to kind of keep the pressure of Daniel Valdez off of him, and that would be the wrestling and the grappling. He's going to have to play more of a counter-punching game on Daniel Valdez, but Daniel, he's just a lot faster than Carlos. It's going to be very, very hard to play the counter-punching game on a guy as fast as Daniel Valdez, so he's going to really need to mix in the wrestling and grappling, which I think is going to be very, very hard, but that's what he needs to do. Carlos Hernandez with 6 wins and 1 loss, the rear naked, and then 2 decision wins. He needs the fight to go down. He needs to look for the submission. He needs to look for the ground pound and win the fight on the ground. I just don't see him landing the takedown with how good of the movement that Daniel Valdez does have. He can, every single time Carlos goes for a takedown, Daniel is just going to circle on the outside and stay away from those takedowns. So I don't see this fight being a grappling or wrestling fight. I see the fight staying on the feet, and Daniel being just the more faster striker, the better move around the cage, just going in and out with the striking. I am going to give the slight edge to Daniel Valdez right here. I do think he wins the fight by a 29-28 decision. I'll give 1 round to Carlos Hernandez because he is a very, very solid grappler. Maybe he gets 1 fight to the ground, or 1 round to the ground, and wins that one. But overall, I'm going to give the win to Daniel Valdez. He's the better striker, the faster striker, the more powerful striker, and throws more volume than Carlos Hernandez. So my prediction right here in the flyweight division is Daniel Valdez winning the fight by a 29-28 unanimous decision. Really good fight in the flyweight division. Shimon Samatsky and Mike Malott in the welterweight division. Again, I don't know if I'm saying that last name really too correct, so I'm just going to refer to him as Shimon from now on. But this fight is going to be a banger in the welterweight division. Mike Malott, he's not a very active fighter. His last fight against Solomon Renfro was way back. It was in 2020, about 1 year ago. But before that, he was on a 3-year layoff. Before that, he was on a 2-year layoff. Before that, on a 1-year layoff. So he's taking very, very long layoffs in between his fights, but he has some very, very solid striking. Out of all of his wins, 3 knockout wins and 3 submission wins. In the grappling, I'll give him the jiu-jitsu advantage over Shimon Samatsky right here, because that rear naked on Solomon Renfro, it was super fast. The way he was able to land that jab to overhand right, and immediately as Solomon hit the ground, he got that rear naked in place so fast, and that is why if the fight does hit the ground, which most likely it will, Mike Malott can definitely get a submission, definitely can lock in a guillotine, block in a dart choke submission win, can definitely lock in a rear naked like he did against Solomon Renfro. The striking of Mike Malott, I'll give a slight advantage to Shimon Samatsky right here, but if Shimon is going to win the fight, he needs to go out there, keep the fight at range. He's going to be a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier, needs to jab 1-2, and as Mike Malott comes in for his jab to overhand right, Shimon needs to go down for a double leg takedown, maybe clinch up with Mike Malott, and then take him down with a trip takedown against the cage. But the wrestling and the grappling game of Shimon Samatsky is going to be what gets him the win, along with just keeping the fight at range and not letting Mike Malott land anything too significant in the striking game, because just keep the fight very even in the striking, and kind of tell the judges that you're going to win the rounds by out taking them down over and over again and getting a little bit of ground and pound. But the striking is going to be quite even. Mike Malott was getting very pieced up in his last fight with Solomon Renfro. Shimon is not going to be able to do what Solomon Renfro did, because he's just not that good of a striker, but I think the striking is going to be very even. Mike Malott, I think, will have a slight advantage on the feet, but but Shimon, I think, might want to go to the wrestling and grappling game and try to take down Mike Malott many times in the fight. But the fact that Mike Malott is such a good wrestler and grappler, I mean, we saw the last fight with Solomon Renfro. I think if the fight does hit the ground, then Mike Malott will be able to either reverse Shimon or turn it into some submission opportunity and end up submitting Shimon on the ground. On the feet, I think Mike Malott will just kind of pressure Shimon and land a jab to overhand right and end up knocking out Shimon on the ground. I see Shimon going for the takedown and Mike Malott landing a submission. So either way the fight goes in the striking game, I think Mike Malott has the more powerful striking, the faster striking, and is just going to come forward with a lot of pressure and land a jab to overhand right and probably get the knockout like that. And if the fight does hit the mat, I think Shimon, if he can stay away from the takedown, or if he can stay away from the submission to Mike Malott, definitely Shimon can definitely win the fight. But Mike Malott's jiu-jitsu is just so good that I think eventually he'll be able to reverse Shimon, and once he gets reversed, Mike Malott is going to get his back so fast and latch in that rear naked choke submission. So my prediction right here in the welterweight division, either way, is going to be Mike Malott by a jab to overhand right knockout in the striking game, or maybe he lands that overhand right, takes him down, and then a rear naked him just like he did against Solomon Renfro last time around. I do think it's a lot closer than the betting odds do suggest, as Simone Samishkri is an undefeated fighter, has some good wrestling and grappling, and if he can stay away from the submissions of Mike Malott, he can definitely win the fight. I just think eventually Mike Malott will be able to latch in that submission or keep the fight on the feet for the most part and knock him out. But it's a very close fight in the welterweight division. My prediction, very slightly, Mike Malott by finish right there in the first or second round. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Yeah, guys, that is my full card prediction for Dana White's Contender Series of 2021, Week 6. My main event prediction, Mike Malott, either by an overhand right knockout or by a rear naked choke submission. I'm really not too sure which one. It's very 50-50 on if he's going to knock him out or if he's going to submit him. Again, it's very close. I can definitely see Shimon going out there and just defending submissions and winning the fight. That's a very close one, but I'm very slightly going Mike Malott. With Daniel Perez, Carlos Hernandez, I'm going to go Daniel Perez by a very close decision. Joshua Weems and Fernie Garcia. I'm going to go Fernie Garcia by decision. Genaro Valdez, Patrick White. I got Genaro Valdez by TKO or submission on the ground. Joseph Holmes and Shantae Barnes. I got Joseph Holmes by knockout. Really good fights for Dana White's Contender Series of 2021, Week 6. If you want to know what bets I'm going to be making for Dana White's Contender Series 2021, Week 6, as well as UFC Fight Night Durna versus Rodriguez, you can become a member of the channel in the comment section below to get access to all of my UFC, Bellator, PFL, and Dana White's Contender Series bets. So that is my full card prediction for Dana White's Contender Series of 2021, Week 6. If you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel and everything like that. And we'll see you in the next video. Let's go.